Hello again, ladies, gentlemen, and fellow non-binary daisies. Your girl has a new computer, so she's finally ending her hiatus with an all-new countdown. I know, it's been way too long. Today, we're talking about obscure PSAs of all topics. No further explanation really needed this time, so roll the intro.
Let me tell you who to blame. Blame the boy lying at your feet, his body oozing life through the hole in his stomach where the bullet tore him apart. Blame him for challenging you, for not looking away and for not backing down when you pulled out the gun. Blame your mother for bringing you into this world when she was but a kid herself and for dragging you up, not bringing you up. Blame society for not giving you hope. Blame your father for not being there, the man who looked after himself instead of looking after you. Blame the gun in your hand for making you a target, for making you more likely to be picked on. Blame the dead boy, blame your mother, blame society, blame your father, blame the gun, blame anyone but yourself for not being strong enough to put down the gun, to break the cycle.
You'd think with how much I talk about this PSA, it would be one of the most well-known ones. And while it's certainly the least obscure one on this list, it's not very well known at all. And it's a shame because it's my favorite one of all time. If you saw this one before, it probably was through one of my videos that you heard about it, as I have been very vocal about my love for Blame. I have found very few channels that mention this PSA, which is a shame since it's a beautifully done work, but I've talked about it to death. So, well, I don't really have anything to say about Samuel L. Jackson lecturing us about taking accountability that I haven't already said before. Now, this isn't a super obscure PSA either, but I've only ever seen one other channel cover it. And it's certainly not as famous as another PSA that combines grotesque imagery with people laughing and joking. That'd be What a Laugh by Minds Advisory Group. Except here, these people look even more horrible, as they are just laughing at starving children with no context. Until the closing line. At least people laughing shows a modicum of caring.
I couldn't believe it when I saw a large white bag zipped up on the table in the tiny room. I screamed out, asking who was responsible for doing this, and I frantically began to unzip the bag, to find him curled up in his boxers and a tube taped into his mouth. I put my arms around him and my fingers were feeling the holes in his back, making me more aware of his injuries. He was still warm and his hair smelled like it had just been washed, and I could feel the softness of his face against mine, and his beautiful pink lips had turned to a deep shade of blue. I held him and I kept his warmth next to me, begging him to wake up. My blood began to boil and the fear that my son had faced came into my mind, as if I was there at the stabbing, and I was led from the room. My mind was in bits. It was a mixture of pain and suffering and anger and vengeance. It was the most awful thing that I've ever had to experience.
Hot take. As effective as the conference is, I like this one slightly more. Yes, I know what made the conference hit harder is that it was all real images of real people's stab wounds, but this one hits harder because, well, we actually see the precursor to this person being one of the many people immortalized by being a textbook stab wound picture. We see him get jumped in the CCTV footage on the street. He's brutally beaten and left to fucking die. But what makes it actually hit harder isn't the extremely violent visuals, but the mom's calm, emotional telling of the aftermath of this beating, where we're seeing her calmly tell this story juxtaposed with this extremely violent footage. It's so unreasonably underrated.
Evict them in 5 easy steps. So, you've found the perfect site for your new development, but somebody's already living there. No problem. Simply follow this 5-step guide, and they'll be out of their homes before you can say human rights violation. Step 1. Tell them. Tell them they need to get out right away. Don't explain or ask what they think. Just tell them to go. Step 2. Trick them. Pretend their homes are worthless and offer them a fraction of their actual value. Never, ever negotiate. Step 3. Threaten them. Surround their community with hired thugs or armed police. Then cut off their electricity supply. Now they really are powerless. Step 4. Attack them. Beat them with sticks. Or burn down their homes. Whatever feels most natural. Step 5. Evict them. Load them onto trucks and dump them someplace far away. So long, guys. Been nice knowing you. So that's how to forcibly evict them in 5 easy steps. And look, it really does work.
Definitely one of Amnesty's lesser-known PSAs, but it's known amongst fans of Amnesty PSAs, so that's why it ranks so low. Here we see how corporations and governments force people out of their homes through shady means, before cutting to footage of actual forced evictions around the world. It's the exact brand of shocking I've come to expect from them.
ママ、ライオンさんのんびりしてて幸せそうだね。違うのよ。檻の中に長い間閉じ込められて生きる記憶をなくしてしまったのよ。わあ、かっこいい。トラさんのパレードだ。違うのよ。ずっと遠くまで行きたくても行けないから行ったり来たりしているだけ。あれは異常な行動なのよ。わあ、ゾウさんがダンスしてるよ。楽しそうだね。そうじゃないの。家族から引き離されてとっても寂しくてノイローゼになっているのよ。わあ、すごいね。どうしてあんなにジャンプできるの？それはね、たくさん芸をしないと食べ物がもらえないからよ。
Alright, here's the last PSA on this list that is obscure because a more famous PSA from its company overshadowed it. So I've only seen 2 PSAs from Alive, and both of them are haunting, but this one, it's just depressing. These poor animals are so depressed that they've gone insane from boredom, and it's so sad to see the child's innocence contrasted with the bleak reality of the animal's situation. However, compared to its infamous cousin, it's kinda obscure.
Al encontrarnos nuevamente bebiendo, nos preguntamos, ¿en dónde estoy? ¿Hacia dónde voy? ¿Qué me está pasando?
Las respuestas las encontramos en Alcohólicos Anónimos por medio de un cambio de vida, vida que deseamos compartir.
Mayor información en el grupo de tu comunidad.
Oh hey, a PSA I put on the map. It's still an obscure PSA for a lot of the PSA community, and I assume a lot of you either found this PSA through my top 75 or the TV Tropes article I helped to get this on. So what makes this PSA so scary is that it's so low quality that, well, we don't actually know whether or not he's hanging, but the existential questions do heavily lean towards that being the case. Either way, it's uncharacteristically bleak for a Mexican Alcoholics Anonymous PSA.
Oye, ven para acá. ¿Cuántas veces te lo tengo que decir para que aprendas, carajo, bestia? Ven para acá, te digo. Oye, ¿tú ves lo que has hecho? ¿Ah? Dime, contéstame. ¿Ves lo que has hecho? ¿Ah? ¿Cuántas veces te lo tengo que decir? ¿Ah? ¿Escucha? ¿Cuántas veces te lo tengo que decir? Toma, inútil. Que es una bestia. ¿A quién le habrá salido? Inútil. ¡Burro! Estoy harto, ¿me oyes?
Me pegues más, por favor, papá.
¿Aló? Señor, el pollo que me trajo está crudo.
Para que aprendas, a mí me tienes que respetar, carajo. No te lo voy a volver a repetir. ¡Ven para acá!
No me pegues, por favor. Papá.
Oh hey, another one I helped to land on TV Tropes. So this is arguably one of the most shocking PSAs I've ever seen, and holy shit, it's a 2-for-1 villain-wise. If I ever make a second worst PSA villains video, I'm definitely putting these 2 men here. Like, how did the guy on the phone ignore these loud whips and crying? How? A child is being beaten next to you, and you care about fucking chicken.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome to Camp Okuda. Here at Okuda, kids get to do tons of stuff. They take hikes, make campfires, do landmine training, throw grenades. Get down! Get down! And they get to shoot a real AK-47.
Jesus fucking Christ. I know Canada makes some incredibly disturbing PSAs, but holy shit. Now, like most of the PSA community, I do see the dark humor in this PSA, as the children seem to be having a lot of fun becoming child soldiers, but it is still quite shocking to see them throwing grenades, handling landmines, and firing AK-47s instead of the usual arts and crafts and swimming and hiking stuff. But of course, for many real children around the world, this is their childhood, which haunting stuff, man.
Hey. Over here, big man. Nice one. You're really in there. Feeling a bit sick now. Surprised there's anything left to come up. Can't remember what happened. Trouble is, they can.
a really interesting one from Ireland, where in addition to a lot of alcohol, apparently this boy has also taken a tab or two of acid, as the empty alcohol bottle is now taunting him. And he tries to get up but trips due to his intoxication, poor guy, as his friends laugh. But as obscure as this PSA is, apparently the HPU of Ireland liked it so much that they did it again sometime later.
Wakey, wakey, princess. Remember me? So, where's lover boy now? Forgotten what happened? He hasn't. Bet he's bragging right now. Oh, are you crying?
See what I mean? This time, however, the bottle is a lot more cruel and mocking, as he mocks this girl for her drunken one-night stand that she's been left behind from. Even as the poor girl starts to cry, this asshole of a booze bottle mocks her. And aside from the dialogue and higher quality, it's almost exactly the same as the last PSA, so there's not really much to say about it. Very well done, though.
Los fuegos artificiales son muy peligrosos. Cuida a tu familia, en especial a los niños y niñas. Que en estas fiestas la paz no se convierta en dolor. Es un mensaje de Anikem.
Well, this is an extremely well-known Peruvian PSA. It's incredibly obscure outside the country of Peru. Though having seen it, I can see why it traumatized a lot of Peruvians, as it juxtaposes serene Christian imagery with severe firework burns. Also, not to mention, this was broadcast during Christmas in Peru. And yeah, seeing this for myself, I can see why this is a lot of Peru's Vietnam flashbacks when it comes to the PSA community. Definitely deserves more attention, though.
First you stole prescription pills from your mom. You threw back a few, and then they were gone. So you're jonesing real bad, yeah, you need some more. So you call a shady guy and say you're looking to score. And that's how you got addicted to heroin. He came over quick, said he got something new. For just $10 you snort or chew. Said just one time and then you'd be fine. But soon you OD'd and now you're dying. And that's how you got addicted to heroin. And that's how you OD'd on heroin.
Oh, the pumped up kicks of the PSA community. So this cheery tune that played during the Super Bowl in some Missouri stations, no less, is about a guy who OD'd on heroin and his death. And my god, the imagery is so dark considering how cheery the tune is. We see a mom outlive her son and cry seeing his dead body. It's a masterclass of dark comedy, but also really depressing.
Before you do meth, there's something you better know. Meth causes brain damage. Up to 8% of the lobe used for memory, gone. Up to 10% of the part that controls your moods, your emotions, your sex drive. Gone. Maybe for good. Before you do meth, you better know how much of your brain you're willing to give up. Because afterwards, there's a chance you won't know much of anything.
Can't say I'm exactly happy to be talking about this PSA, but at least it's a nice throwback to one of this year's compilations. I swear I didn't intend this countdown to be so full of Antonia callbacks. So, this one is one of the grossest PSAs I've ever discussed. I mean, no shit. You probably already know what video of mine this was from. Though, since it's a state PSA, it is by default a more obscure PSA. Though it shouldn't be, as it's one of the most horrifying ones I've ever seen, as a brain is put through a deli meat slicer, and according to the production notes, this is an actual human brain, and boy, I'm gonna be sick. This one just speaks for itself.
La mayoría de los casos ocurren al interior del hogar. Si alguien le habla de violencia sexual, créale, denuncie, rompa el silencio.
El respeto, compromiso de todos.
This PSA is very well known in Colombia, though like the Peruvian PSA I showed a few entries back, it's almost completely unknown outside its home country. So here, we have some creepy walking hand shadow puppets, and the shadowy ones are sketchy people for the children to avoid. Except it was a shadowy figure in one's own family that does bad things to the child. It's really creepy and very well done. Like the Navidad PSA, it deserves more attention. Admittedly, I didn't even know PSAs were a thing in Trinidad and Tobago. However, this one, despite being extremely obscure, is quite fun to watch. Apparently, coke usage invites a sadomasochistic devil with a whip, and to be fair, the music is very fun, so this dude quite literally must be fun at parties. Holy shit, this PSA makes me feel like I actually am on drugs.
First your teeth, then your skin, then the frontal lobe of your brain. Piece by piece, you are going to die, very slowly.
Both the PSAs by this organization I've shown are horrifying in their own right, but Slicer is the more well-known one. And well, I could have gone my whole life without seeing this, because this doctor is as horrifying as it gets. Joseph Heiter from the Human Centipede, eat your heart out. The fact that the execution's beginning is how the ad ends makes it even more horrifying, dear God.
Weapons of mass destruction.
So, your girl had to fire up the old OBS on her laptop since there is no standalone upload of this PSA. It only exists in an upload of a Peruvian VHS of 90s commercials and PSAs. However, this is a really interesting clip from said compilation. So it shows some pretty shocking war footage alongside Spanish text in a typewriter font, really similar to the one MCR used for their band logo on Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. And it's a condemnation of then President of France, Jacques Chirac, for testing nuclear weapons in New Caledonia, although I've heard it said that this one was made because Chirac wanted to do the same thing in South America.
Sweet dreams, baby.
This is one of those PSAs that's so obscure, we don't even know who made it. We know the year, the name, and the country it's from, but not who made it. It's really eerie and well made, however, and I love the music and metaphor of the cigarettes being literal nails in the coffin. But sweet dreams, no, I don't think I will be having any of those.
In local news, court officials have declared Not My Kid will be tried as an adult in connection with a drunk driving fatality last week. Not My Kid is charged in the death of a 28-year-old Manchester man. Returning from a concert, Not My Kid lost control of his vehicle and struck the victim's car. Not My Kid is also being charged with possession.
The sobering truth is, it could be your kid, unless you lay down the law. Talk to your teen before underage drinking destroys.
I talked about this PSA before in the PSA compilation regarding my state. God, that's ancient Antonia history. And it's a shame this PSA is virtually unknown outside of Connecticut. It's such a good concept, and it's executed so perfectly, as without fail, this PSA, which was a TV PSA, always aired before actual news reports on local news channels in my state. Now, obviously, it loses its bait and switch tactic upon the second view, but it's still really good. And considering only a very specific demographic in the second smallest state in America knows of its existence, it's absolutely obscure.
En esta fotografía están todas sus familias, incluso quien abusó sexualmente de ella.
Casi en la totalidad de los casos de abuso sexual en niños y niñas, los responsables han sido familiares o personas cercanas.
Si tu hija lo dice, escúchala. Si lo conoce, denúncialo.
El respeto. Compromiso de...
Fucking hell, I've heard of McDonald's mics with better quality than this. So, this PSA, which just happens to be part of the very campaign number 7 is from, is so obscure that the only footage of it is this extremely low quality rip. It's watermarked and everything, which implies that before this upload, it was only found in someone else's video. Its context is that it's a PSA about sexual abuse within the family. Sad, but makes sense. This shit is actually so obscure that it's supposedly lost media, or was, but considering it was found on a Logo Kids channel, maybe take that with a grain of salt. I don't fucking know. And that, ladies, gentlemen, and fellow non-binary daisies, is the end of a countdown I delayed way too fucking long. Again, apologies. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you enjoyed the video, y'all have a great day. Antonia out. Peace.